if you want me to take these off now.
We'll throw up a signal when we want you to talk.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
exactly.
All right, I'm letting some people in. Hello, everyone.
Hey, everybody. Happy birthday, Lou.
Thanks, Howie. Good to see you.
Yeah,
You too,
happy
buddy.
birthday, Lewis.
Hey, Parker.
Hey,
Hey.
man.
So some of us know each other, some of us don't, but I know everyone here. So I wonder how that came to be. Let's see, we're still waiting on some more people. Gonna see if they pop in here in the next minute or so, and if not, it's all good. We'll just get started. But in the meantime, hi Alyssa, hi Jen, hi Leah, hi Sheila, hi Kirsten, hey Luda. It's so interesting. Yes, nice eclectic group of people. We all know each other in such different ways. I love it.
I may have to wear this mask during this, so I apologize. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
You may have to wear the mask, huh?
Yeah, Warner Brothers has a really strict policy, and I'm sitting like outside, and I just don't want to make anybody think that I'm gonna cough COVID on this table. I can go sit in my car, actually. I'll go sit in my car. That's what I'll do.
Just do whatever's gonna have least background noise.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, so we are 5 minutes in. I think it's an appropriate time to start. Okay, welcome everyone. Hope your Thursday is going excellent. As you know, this is the first meeting of Spirit Club, which is awesome. So I just wanted to start and give you a little bit of background on myself and a couple others here, and then after that, explain like what we're doing, why we're doing it, and essentially like our intention for doing this. So I'll start with myself. As most of you probably know, I went to a retreat back in September where I did some pretty powerful medicine, and it had been more of a lifelong calling, but it really blasted the spiritual doors open, if you will. And from that point forward, I've just continued to like double and triple down on that because it felt so right. Basically, I've done a lot of inner work, a lot. It feels like I've put myself through my own boot camp, my own pledgeship, if you will. And it feels really nice. And Alyssa, I'll just give you a quick little intro there. Alyssa, she was at the retreat with me, so we actually met there. And it's wonderful to have you here as well, Alyssa. And part of the work that I've been doing over the last couple of months has been with my friend, Howie. I guess maybe it's this way. I don't know. Maybe it's this way. Yeah. Howie and I actually lived like a block from each other growing up. We were in the same neighborhood. So interestingly enough, we kind of got introduced through our other friend, Parker, who's the one walking around with the mask. Parker also went to the retreat that Alyssa and I went to. He was just there the weekend before. So Parker introed Howie and I, not introed, but was like, we should all be kind of doing this work together. And so Howie and I have done a lot of fellowship together. We have been catalysts to one another. We've helped each other grow tremendously. We've gone through inner transformation together. He's been doing it for longer than I have, but basically when I came into his field of being his path, it just really ascended me very quickly, and it was wonderful. So Howie and I have been thinking, well, what's kind of next in line for us. Like once we do it to ourselves, once we feel like we hit a certain level of vibration, and we feel the nature of that, like we feel like that is love, that is holding light, like what do we do next? Well, it's pretty obvious. It feels like you want to be able to help others who are on a similar path, and you want to be able to hold space for them, and you want to be able to encourage them, and you want to be able to take the scariness out of this journey that would otherwise be much more difficult if it was something that we did alone without anyone else. So, you know, the purpose of this of these meetings that we're doing is to do just that. It's we feel that it's the next thing that we need to do, not only to allow us to be like the best light holding instruments and love sharing and resonating instruments that we can be. But we also know that the wheel doesn't need to be reinvented, and it helps so much just to be there for other people who are on a similar path, a similar journey. Howie, before I go any further, I'll just let you kind of give your 2 cents, your background, and anything you want to add, and then we can go more into the intention of what we plan to do with this.
I love it, Mitchell. And
Yeah.
yes, we've been on this journey together for a few months now, and both of our ascension process is really accelerated through the fellowship, and really feeling like we can take our mask off and talk about esoteric, crazy, spiritual things that maybe you don't feel comfortable talking with family or even your closest friends about. So being able to have that safe space really allows you to kind of open up your throat chakra, get this thing open to where you're getting this energy out of you. Because a lot of us have so much suppressed trauma and emotions. And for me, I've had a lifelong, traumatic experience that I've been holding on to. So in 2019, I did ayahuasca down in Costa Rica, and it gave me this newfound perspective on the person I'd become. And it was really like dramatic for me. But after that, I struggled a lot because I couldn't integrate spirit like into my normal life. I felt like I was living in 2 different worlds. I wasn't very grounded with my newfound perspective. So through a lot of trial and error and doing different things, trying different modalities, I finally in June of 2020 felt like I'd found a spiritual practice that could really anchor in spirit for me. And then shortly after, Parker and Mitch, have been working together with Huddles for a long time. They both did their medicine experience. And then we've developed this fellowship around our spiritual journey, and it's been unbelievable. And I'm so grateful. And the big thing for me is when you have fellowship and you feel like I'm not the only one who's going through this, your ability to really let go of that old version of yourself that's no longer serving you is so much easier. So like Mitch mentioned before, we're like, it would be really cool if we could have more people interacting in this space. We've already committed to doing this on a weekly, sometimes multiple times a week with each other basis. We're like, let's find some other light workers that want to be a part of it and want to grow. But it's important for us that you feel called to be a part of this. We're not preaching or pushing our agenda on anyone. It really is a resonance thing. So if this feels like my heart wants me to do this, we want to be there to support you. And we get upgrades from learning from you guys too. So it's really beautiful.
For sure. Thank you, Howie. Appreciate
You're welcome.
it. Yes, it's beautiful as always. Always nicest to listen to you. Sometimes I just like to close my eyes and let you speak, and I'll just get into a little flow state just with you talking. So yeah, a couple of things that I think are important to touch on with this is like, I don't think that this is for everyone. This would not have been for me, 6 months ago. This exact thing would not have been for me 6 months ago. And so the first thing is like, it's totally okay. obviously. It's not meant to be for everyone. We're creating a safe space for those who they feel like it is right for.
Yeah, Mitch, let me jump in real quick.
Go for it.
What's up, guys? I'm Parker. I know some of you, others I look forward to getting to know. I'm curious. I would love to. We don't have a huge group here. I'm curious if people feel comfortable introducing themselves and maybe just saying in a few words whatever they would like. But maybe I'm curious where they feel they are on this particular journey. Are these people? Are you somebody who's feels very connected to spirit and you've been doing this work for a while? Or are you somebody who's like, what are these lunatics talking about? But I'm curious. And I think that would be
What
a
is
really cool.
spirit?
What's that?
Like, what is spirit? Like,
Yeah, well, seriously, because it is it can be a very confusing woo-woo concept, and you can feel very much removed from it, even though none of us are. It's just a matter of how connected we are at this moment to something larger. And it's a really cool space to dive into, and I'm really grateful everyone's here to, poke around and see what we can discover. But if anyone, if you feel comfortable, great. If you don't, don't worry about it. But I'm Parker. I'm in LA right now. I'm shooting a TV show at Warner Brothers, and I've been on this path for a while, a few years, I'd say, almost out of necessity, because I was at sort of a rock bottom for myself, and I needed to do some internal work, and this whole world sort of opened up to me. So, and it is every day, though, a continuation, a deepening, an ongoing process. I'm not here and holier than thou. No way. It's a constant process of growth and discovery, and that's why we are here. So, anyways, I'm gonna just call on some people if that's cool. Lewis, my brother, talk to me, man, if you feel like it. If not, just put your hand up and just wave. Say no thanks.
No, Parker, good to hear from you. I'm happy to join in on the conversation. My name's Lewis Lehman, and I'm here in Tucson, Arizona. I grew up with some of these guys, and Howie, Mitch, and Parker are three people that I consider, probably three of my 10 best friends. So I'm here to learn from them. I would say for me, I'm somewhere in the middle right now. I don't really know where I am spiritually. I know I'm probably more spiritual than religious. I got engaged this summer. My fiance is very spiritual. She practices every day, doing different meditations and journaling, and I'm somewhere in the middle. And so I'm here to hear your guys' story and see if it's gonna resonate with me, or if I'm gonna think that you guys are some lunatics. Like, so, I'm very open to it. I don't think that there's necessarily a right or wrong way of doing things. I think it just has, like Mitch talked about, it has to resonate with you internally, and if it does, great. And like what Howie said, if it doesn't, that's okay also. So I'm here to support my friends, my brothers, to explore new ideas, and hear stories from other people to see what resonates with me. I know I need some work done. I just don't know what work is needed. So I'm here to explore if it's if it's a retreat, or if it's just coming into a group like this and talking through some things, and seeing what comes out of it. So looking forward to hearing your guys' stories and getting to know you, each one of you, a little bit better.
Amen, brother. I appreciate the honesty. That's awesome, man. And so happy you're here. Yeah, thank you, dude.
And happy birthday as well, Luda.
Let's hear from Jen. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. And I have to say I'm here because I'm intrigued. I am based out of the frozen Northeast with a lot of snow right now. But for me, I guess I'm looking for the next step. Over the last couple of years, I've gone through a pretty significant transformation. I freed myself of a lot of the things that were holding me back and holding me down. A big part was moving into life with the feeling and the understanding of forgiveness, and not allowing other people's thoughts to control me, or how they look at life. And so for me, like I said, I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued to find out more. I feel like I'm very much on a forward progression, becoming really in tune with myself, which is actually a really scary thing to do, is when you're trying to connect with yourself first, and tune out the world around you. So I'm excited to hear and experience.
Amazing. Well, thank you for being here. Okay. Let's see, Alyssa. And again, feel free, if anybody doesn't want to, that's awesome. Also, just wave me off like this. But Alyssa, if you'd like to speak, we'd love to hear from you.
Sure, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for Mitch for inviting me. As he mentioned, I met him a couple of months ago at the retreat in September.
Oh, awesome.
And it was quite transformational for me. I have been on this spiritual journey since I was a teenager. And the retreat there were so many synchronicities to it. And meeting Mitch just like blew the doors off of some stuff for me, because I call him my light twin. He's just such an amazing person. And the other thing that I really loved about the retreat is the newfound sense of community. I really met some people that are going to be lifelong friends, and I'm looking forward to developing those relationships. The retreat also changed my life in many ways, and more things are still coming up, but I'm just so excited because things look completely different now than they did just a few months ago. And I would have never dreamed that my life would look the way that it does. And I'm so excited and happy to be here to share it with everyone. And I want to be there for fellowship with other people, to help them along the way. And people needing help and sharing their experiences actually helps me too. When we get into this space where we're comfortable with vulnerability and sharing and showing up to be seen, we're actually doing a service for other people, by giving them the opportunity to help us, giving people the choice to help us. And so thank you for anybody that is coming and just wanting to share or be heard. And I'm looking forward to connecting with you all.
Lovely.
Awesome. Awesome.
Thank you, Alyssa.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I was at that retreat, Alyssa, and it was incredible. I'm excited to talk to you about that at some point in the future. Kristen, would you like to speak? You are muted right now, so if you just awesome. Hi,
everybody. My name is Kirsten.
Sorry.
Don't worry about it. I'm here because I've been sharing with Mitch something that I did and continue to do. I started 2 years ago meditating and doing things because I needed to just connect with myself and heal, and because of other things going on, and that was the direction I took. And my friend took me to the Integratron out in Landers for a sound bath. And that sort of changed a lot for me, because it definitely brought me in tune with myself. And they've, even with COVID, they've found a way to bring it to you so you can participate within your own home and in your own space. And I've been sharing that with Mitch because I've seen his journey. So I'll send him links. Hey, this is going on. But I feel like I'm in the middle of all of it, and there's 100 different ways to go. And you can go in 1,000 different directions on how to connect with yourself, whether it be journaling or reading books or different things. But this, and hearing people, so I thank you for not picking me first. It is very important to have a community that you can share with. and bounce ideas off of. And for me, I want to be more focused in my journey and the direction that I go. So that's kind of where I'm at right now with all of it. And so here I am.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for being here. Next week, I'll be picking you first. I'm just kidding. Well, maybe. Okay, let's hear from Lee. Is it Leah? If you'd
Leah.
like to speak. Leah.
Hey, old friends and new friends. I'm here in Del Monte, California, working remotely, but I'm super into this journey. I actually echo a lot of what y'all said, your sentiments. I think I relate to a lot of it. Kind of like Lewis said, I'm in the middle. I feel like I've been on this spiritual growth practice and, trying to connect with myself for so many years, but it's been a super solo journey. So I was so impressed with you, Mitch, when you started to share your journey on Instagram and just totally started to normalize it. I thought it was awesome. I didn't feel like I was that solo kook. And I'm here just because I think it's really important to have a community of like-minded people that I want to share new things with, grow with, and I think it's awesome. So cool to connect with
Awesome.
you.
Thank
Cool.
you. It's
Yeah,
great.
thanks for being here, Leah.
Yeah, it's good to see all you guys.
Mhm.
Okay, let's hear from Sheila if you'd like to speak.
Hi.
Hi.
So I'm from Los Angeles. I grew up with a Catholic mom, Mormon dad, went to Baptist school, Catholic school, and Church of Christ school. So very regimented religious, and now I'm spiritual. I take the best out of all the religions out there. If I had to name what my path is, the goddess path, but I'm open to all spirituality. I have a lot of friends who are Reiki healers and intuitives. I do a little healing myself. I gravitate towards spirituality and people of like mind. And so when Mitch started this, it was like, wow, cool, more of my tribe. Let's get together. Let's talk. Let's bring the love and healing into the world, because we are at that point where everything is changing. And I think we can all sense the dual reality. Like some people are in seriously another reality, and we're here. So the time is coming that we need to do more healing towards the world. And I think that's why more people are waking up. We're all slowly waking up, and it's all about love. I mean, it's always all been about love, even in the biblical sense, God is love. So thank you. Thank you for starting this.
Thank you for being here, Sheila.
Thank you.
Okay, last but not least, if you'd like to speak, Andriana. No.
Hi,
Hi.
I am late because I was on a client call, but definitely
Oh,
wanted to
so-
see what this was about. So I kind of missed what everyone's talking about, but
Yeah, no
Hi.
problem. I just if you want, we just love to hear your name, maybe where you're calling from, and what your relationship is to spirituality. Do you feel like it's a word that's very foreign? Is it something you feel very connected to? What brings you here, and what are you looking forward to in these sorts of discussions, if anything?
okay, yeah, I'm based out of LA. I'm in Hermosa Beach, actually. I have been on my spiritual journey probably since like 2016. I went through yoga teacher training, which kind of started that whole journey inward. And then I've always kind of dabbled in psychedelics for kind of deeper purpose. And then, yeah, I've been kind of diving deeper lately, with everything Mitch has been talking about. Went to school with y'all in high school. So hello again.
Hello again.
It's been a long time. Yeah, so just kind of wanting to go deeper there. And a lot of what he spoke on in the last Zoom chat we had is just kind of really resonated with me, going deeper and finding that true sense of love, returning to self. So that's kind of where I'm at now, getting more into meditating, journaling, etc. I think it's been nice to slow down a little bit with the pandemic and yeah, that's where I'm at in my journey.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Mitch, before I turn this back over to you and Howie, I have sort of, I guess, sort of an initial question, I think, after hearing from everybody. And first off, thanks to everybody for sharing. I mean, it can be a weird, scary thing. And, you know, when you're waiting for your name to be called, we find ourselves in this position where we're all of a sudden not even present and listening. We're now stuck in our minds thinking about what it is that we're going to say when we get called on, right? I mean, that's such a funny thing. It's such a huge fear. So to just speak and to step up and be heard is awesome. And I applaud you. And it sort of transitions into my next question, or my first question, which is, I'm curious for people like Lewis. Okay, I think he's a perfect example. Hasn't yet, you know, when you've had the luxury of losing your mind, so to speak, on plant medicine, you know, and seeing what is left when the mind is gone, you know, that's a very it's a very expedited way of understanding what spirituality is. If you haven't had an experience like that, my question is, what is spirituality? Like, what is it? Why should I care about it? And like, what does it do for me? Like, what is all this? What is all this hoopla? Like, what is it? You know, and why should I care? And I'm curious how you or Howie would sort of answer that question and kind of get us started in this direction of what this is.
You know? Lewis, are you ready?
You want to start, Mitch, or do you want me to start?
This is what I'm here for, guys.
Yeah.
This is what I'm here for. Mitch, Howie.
This is what you're here for. That's right. And just to quickly, I want to say something about right before that, Parker.
Please.
Is when people were speaking about their kind of relationship with spirituality, I heard a lot of "I'm in the middle of it,"
Yeah.
which is beautiful because we're all in the middle of it, and it's all completely relative. So we bring, a guru in here, and we're like, we have just begun, and it's like to other people, it's like it feels more in the middle. But so it's all relative. It's an infinite spectrum is what it feels like. And being in the middle is just like being present. It's always a thing. We're always in the middle. And so I guess, Parker, I can kind of tangent into your question and try to answer that. And then Howie, of course, you can add your bit as well. The way I would describe it is what is all the hoopla of spirituality? It's the being that we have always been able to faintly feel in the background in midst of our experience, that feels like truth. It feels like our essence, that we momentarily or time to time get to experience, and it feels like that is us, and it feels like a greater sense of connection to pretty much everything. But it's something that we aren't ever taught or trained to like hold that feeling. So like it feels almost like, oh, we're fortunate enough at given points in our lives to like be able to experience that, to be able to feel who we truly are underneath our skin, underneath our body, underneath our thoughts and feelings. Like, oh, it was nice to feel that. I relied on that. That was intuition maybe that one time or this other time. But spirituality, I think, is converging that, is collapsing the separation between that feeling of our being and the human aspect of experience, all of our thoughts, feelings, and perceptions that seem to be existing in the foreground, with our being always being in the background. It's collapsing that notion in one. And so feeling that our inner being is not just our being as well. It's not just our being, but it's a shared being. It's the being that is in each of us that is also connected. So it's the collapsing of ourselves, and then it's the feeling that, oh, it's not just ourselves, it's not just our being, it's each one of our beings. and it's really collapsing that as well.
Okay.
So that would be that's kind of been my take on it, is just kind of multiple collapsings, if you will. And each one feels better than the next. So I would say that.
Okay.
Howie.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, Howie, what would you say? What
Yeah,
is all this, and why should we care?
There's a lot of, it's multidimensional, and there's a lot that you can remember. And I think that's the key word with spirit, is remembrance. So like Lewis, just, like you said, you're kind of starting out, figuring out what your relationship with spirit is, and that's amazing. So from that perspective, oftentimes indulging the mind and doing things from a mind perspective is okay, because that's how you move through this process. So for example, things that might resonate now is like, what's my purpose in my life? How can I manifest the life that I want? How can I tap more into my intuition? What are practical things that can tap me into spirit and give me more of that experiential thing that the plant medicine does? How can I dissolve limiting beliefs about myself? How can I work through suppressed emotions or unresolved trauma? These are things that prevent us from having our natural connection with spirit. So as opposed to thinking like we're achieving spirituality, it's more of an unlearning and an unwinding of everything that's keeping us from spirit. So I think part of this group is sharing those different modalities and strategies so that you can really let your light shine through. When your light's shining through, you have clarity on your purpose. You have that passion for life. You know which direction you're going. And that's what I think, at least for me, starting out, is what I was searching for. It was from more of a, how can I make my life better right now, just as a human being? But then spirit kind of took the back door on me and gave me access to so much more, that I wasn't necessarily even searching for in the beginning. So hopefully that's helpful.
Beautifully said. Yeah. Thanks, Howie. So the reason that we should care, at least at first, maybe what gets us in the door is like, my life's not where I want it to be. Whether it's like emotionally, I don't feel happy, I don't feel fulfilled, I don't have the life that I want. So that's like, okay, well, maybe I should check out, maybe I should look into spirituality, like whatever that is. And then when that door's opened, you realize that all of the material things you might want aren't really what you want. But sorry, I'm just trying to like look at this from like a perspective of someone who's like, well, I don't get it, and I think I'm trying to interpret what you said is like, spirituality can help you to achieve the life that you want. I mean, is that sort of accurate? Like, it can help you to live the life that you want to be living if you don't feel fulfilled in your current life. Is that
absolutely? I mean, it can help you achieve the life you want, but it increases the depth of your life too. So like you mentioned, like the materialistic things, that's all great, and there's nothing wrong with wanting that stuff. But when you tap in with spirit, you'll see that there's a lot more to the reason why you're here. And then you start getting excited about expanding your consciousness and remembering who you are and holding more light, as opposed to just the byproduct of that, which is manifesting your ideal reality. So when we get so fixated on manifesting things in like this 3D world, we're missing, that's the black point on the white piece of paper. We're missing out on all of these other beautiful experiences and feelings and energies, emotions, energy and motion working through us that can be integrated. So it's this like infinite game of just upgrading yourself. So that's kind of what this process of consciousness evolution is all about. But it does start normally with your mind just wanting a better life, to feel happier, to have, the feeling of success, whatever that might be for you that you've been chasing. We all kind of have that carrot that's dangled in front of our face that we chase, and eventually we come to this realization that I need to stop chasing and I need to go inward. And that's really where the spiritual journey begins.
And I'll just, yeah, go for it, Alyssa. Go for it.
I'd actually like to add something to that, because in our society, in Western culture, we commonly approach these problems from a cognitive standpoint, and we start to feel our thinking leads to feeling that something is missing. But then you have these moments where you have recognition. You recognize that you're uncovering something within yourself in this path, on this journey, on the path I've been on. You realize that there's actually nothing that you need to add to yourself. You recognize yourself again. You uncover all of the dust and accumulation, all of the thoughts that have added to like your psyche. I need this, or I don't have this or that. When you get back to the root of everything, you're in a state of peace, and peace is a state of natural existence. It's just being. And so you start to clear away all of this extra accumulated stuff, and you get to a place of freedom, liberation. And yeah, I would say everything, I agree with everything that's being said, but it's just kind of an elimination of the programming. I've been catching programming in myself more and more. And I use programming as the word because more people can kind of relate to it. You know, there's these programs that run in our head. We don't even see them. They're behind like this black veil, or maybe like under water, the surface of the water, you know, it's the subconscious. And I know for me, a lot of programming was running from the not enough, I am not enough programming. And so many things were flowing from that, but I never consciously caught the thoughts. And uncovering this part of myself, getting back to the natural state of being, my spirit, that connection, that essence, gets rid of a lot of the other stuff. So there isn't more that I need to do. It's becoming less that has actually been helpful for me. And again, there's no right or wrong way to articulate any of this. Maybe somebody will vibe more with how I'm expressing it. I'm expressing the exact same thing that Howard has, Mitch, but this is just how I would articulate it. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and the oftentimes multiple articulations is extremely important, and that is part of the fellow, like that is the crux of the fellowship, is this relationship between teach, learn, and learn, teach. And as you get to express it to someone else, you are learning it intuitively. And as someone else gets to hear it, they get a chance to learn it as well from another perception. So if anything else, just the sheer fact of having conversation around it, and that relationship between learn, teach, and teach, learn is extremely valuable. And again, that's so much of why Howie and I started doing this, is because it was just going between us two. Yes, we happen to resonate very highly with our own conversational styles, but there's no way that you know, other people are going to have other preferences as well. So it's all part of it. And thank you for pointing that out, Alyssa. And if anyone at any time feels like they want to jump in and piggyback or
Absolutely.
in their own way, please do so.
I wanted to add one thing to Alyssa's point about the programming, because I think that's an amazing word that I totally resonate with too. That programming also, a lot of us think it's just like in our mind, but it actually gets like hardwired into our subconscious, which is our physical body. So a lot of what's keeping us stuck is this subconscious vibration that we're sending out. Like we have our limiting beliefs stored in our hardware here. So learning to physically dismantle those two is really important, of setting yourself free, as Alyssa mentioned as well. Freedom and peace comes from this dismantling of this hardwired programming from your mind into your physical body. So that's a big thing that Mitch and I and Parker and I have done a lot of this too. That dismantling of that programming is a big way you can set yourself free. So I just wanted to add that point as well.
And Parker, did you have another question or something you want to say? You're on mute.
Yeah. I was going to ask a question. Again, this is this is the sort of never-ending question, but and I know there's no right answer, but I love, Alyssa, what you said of sort of this idea of us being born essentially perfect, right? Being born as this light being, this divine presence, straight from the source, and then over time, we start to accumulate these sort of mollusks and whatnot, these things that just start to shape who we think that we are, and traumas start to help make us guard our hearts and build certain walls so that we don't get hurt again. And after years of that sort of unconscious accumulation, we end up a very specific individual, with all these, great walls, and we know how to fight these people and keep ourselves safe, and we don't even realize it, and why should we, until we decide that maybe that's unnecessary, and so this process is a process of releasing those things. And my question is, how do you do that? How do you do that? Where do you start? We've talked about big experiences like smoking toad. I mean, that's whoa, what? Where do I find toad? Like, what else can I do if I don't want to smoke toad, if I don't want to go to the jungle and do these things? And maybe I do, I'm not sure if I do, I'm a little scared. Where do I start? And before you answer, I will say one obvious answer. This is where you start. And so kudos. But what other things would you do, that we can do, and just feel, because, and again, as we do these things, the mind is so smart. The mind will say, that's not doing anything. That's not helping. You're not getting better. That's just mumbo jumbo. That's bullshit. What can we do and really start to feel that we are making progress in a way that the mind can't refute it?
Leah, go for it.
I have a micro suggestion if we can't all get to the jungle and get in touch and down with ourselves. Something that's really helped me a lot lately. My daily ritual is waking up and doing breathwork courses. And I've never felt more in touch with my own mind and body when I do them first thing in the mornings. Totally in control of my day, my reactions, and just so elevated and uplifted, and just a sense of ease. So I wanted to share that.
What is the breathwork practice? Is it anything in particular that we could find or try out?
Well, yeah, there's a couple, but it's on Aloe Moves. It's a subscription, but I'd be happy to share it with new and old friends.
Okay.
But oh my God, have you guys ever done, is anyone familiar with fire breath work? It's kind of basic, love it. But one that I got into lately that's a little more challenging is Kundalini arc light clearing. And it's really cool. Yeah, I'd be happy to share them, but
awesome. Okay.
Yeah,
Throw one more buzzword on top of that, please.
Yeah, right. It's been great, and I think, yeah, if you guys want the suggestions to other programs I have or other techniques, I'd love to share. Oh, hummingbird breathwork practice is everything.
Awesome. Yeah, Mitch, let's put together a little chat of some sort where we can kind of stay in touch and people can share these sorts of things, resources.
Yeah, well, I'll quickly touch on that. So we're going to have a community running tangentially to this, where we can post, we can all be members there, easy to keep up to date with things. We can do activations, challenges, unity moves, whatever, announcements there. I think it would be really good to have that running alongside this. And as this kind of takes its own, as this meanders, right? As we let our intuitions guide where this goes, that will be a platform that runs alongside, however that happens. So I just want to say quickly, like, this is not something that's being forced. We're not even trying to grow this. Much more concerned about the density of it than the size and the engagement of the nucleus of it, as opposed to just growing it. So this is an unforced thing. We're letting our intuition guide us however that may come about. And we're just going to breathe into it. We're just going to feel into it and allow this thing to express itself as it should. So there's a lack of control going on here, more of just an openness and free flowingness. And we're going to trust in that.
And now for the homework. but I mean, kind of joking, but also I would ask Howie, like, what would you recommend? Like, if someone's going to show up next week, is there something that we should do? Like, can we do something? Can we come back with a story, or what can we share next week? What would you ask of us to explore this week before our next visit, if anything?
Yeah, so what I do on a daily basis, I meditate every day, and I try and get out in nature and watch the sunrise and get physically grounded. So barefoot on the grass. These are all things we can do to really connect ourselves. But in terms of a spiritual practice, I do something called quantum flow, which you guys can look up. There's a free activation. So it's a combination of breath work and different activations. It's amazing. There's many different facets to it. So you're not always doing the same exact thing, but I can send a link to that free activation, and there's
Cool.
a bunch of free ones online. But yeah, that's my favorite. But you got to find something that you can show up for yourself every day with. That's the most important thing. Because like, if there's one thing you have to do, is your spiritual practice on a regular basis. Daily is the best, because you have to kind of rebuild that spiritual chair every single day. Because you can go do plant medicine or go do animal medicine and have the biggest, most profound experience. But if you're not showing up every day, you're going to take 10 steps forward and 9.5 steps back. So no matter what, you need to have your integration process and make sure that you're showing up for spirit. That's really the key, a little bit every day.
Yeah, and I'm also trying to put myself in the shoes of like, what if you don't do any medicine at all? If you have no psychoactive altering experience, which I don't think that's actually needed. The more work that I do, the more I believe that that's not actually needed. It can be a shortcut for sure, but as Howie just mentioned, you can easily go right back to work on a Monday and just think of that experience as, oh, that was a crazy experience, but now we're back. So I would never rely on that. The medicine is you rely on yourself. This is internal work. This is you yourself. No one else in the world is going to actually make this good or bad or help you grow. They can help you, but at the end of the day, it is so much about you and yourself. And if you want to, you will. And it kind of always comes down to that. Like, if you want to, you'll also go to the Toad retreat. You'll just find a way. You'll be called to do it. If you want to, you will start meditating, and you'll learn how to meditate, and you'll feel yourself getting better at meditating, and you'll do it consistently because you want to do it. There's one thing that has really been helpful for me, though, which we come into this, we want to like understand something very clearly from our mind perspective when we're not necessarily fully in touch with like how we feel and our level of sentience and like how to work with that. Like, we want to be able to grasp something from our mind because that's how we're used to making sense of things. And so what I like to think of is like, I feel like it's a little cognitive hack, is like, when you think of the word human being, like, there's the being and then there's the human. We often live with the human aspect of things, but what is the being? What is the being? There is a being in every human. That's why we're called human beings. But where is that being? What is that being? And so I like to think of it kind of like, there is a being within every human. The human gets to experience things in the world, but behind all of that experience is an ever-present, always aware being. And when you think about who is having thoughts, or what is having thoughts, what is seeing, what is there in amidst all experience, it is the being that is always there. It's the being within the human that is always there. And so, what is the nature of being? Does the being within us really lack anything, or is it the human that lacks things? Is the being, the being feels like it's already abundant, it's already whole. right? Like, because the being is shared. The being is shared amongst everyone. So when we look at like the concept in our experience and we feel thoughts, we feel frustrated, we get depressed, we have anxiety, those are not things that the being experiences. Those are like the human element of our being that experiences those things. So as much as we can to kind of reprogram, recondition our mind to understanding that we are actually just beings in human shell, in human form. And that underlying being is already perfect, already whole, already abundant, already everything that it could ever be. It lacks absolutely nothing. When that being is going with you throughout, with its human counterpart, its human shell, from activity to activity, experience to experience, and all of those thoughts that happen on the human side of things, the being is just the open room. It has no prejudice against anything that's ever going on. It is an open room. It does not care what comes in and out of that room. It's always holding space. It's always perfect. It's always abundant. It's always open. And so for me personally, this has been a huge thing, is just understanding and feeling and recognizing that my true self is behind my human layer and it's in my being layer, and that being is perfect. And that being is within everyone. It's within everyone. And it makes it feel, it's an unlimited being. An unlimited being has no limit. It is only abundant. Something that is abundant and is whole lacks nothing. It is already happy. It is already peaceful. It is already inner. It is already contentness. So when we look inside, what is our true essence? Our true essence is our being. It is the being that was there before we came in this human form, and it's the being that will remain after. And it's already perfect. It's already whole. So it's a very quick, for me, again, it's been a very quick cognitive hack. If I'm ever feeling upset, am I really upset? Is my being upset? No, my being is an open room. My being is not upset. My human form is upset. Think about who we truly are. Who am I truly? I am my being. My being is already perfect and whole. Done. Next thought. Am I anxiety? Do I have anxiety? No. My being cannot have anxiety. It's not possible for our beings to have anxiety. Our beings are already whole. They're already perfect, abundant. So conditioning yourself over and over again to do this, you will train yourself pretty freaking quickly to get more in touch with your being, with our being, as opposed to just the foregrounded experience of our human experience. I'm looking at you, Luda, because I wanted.
No, that was amazing, and that's exactly it. It's that duality of the beingness, kind of your soul versus your humanness, and being able to tap into that. Meditation is a great way, but I think what this little tribe's offering that I didn't have when I was starting out is just a safe place, like an incubator, to come and share openly and honestly, and to be vulnerable and raw and real, because you shed layers when you shine a light on these things that maybe you're uncomfortable talking about. So just by being able to vocalize it in a safe space, you're going to start unwinding a lot of these things that you've been keeping in the shadows. And I think that's important, that we can come here and be honest, maybe tell this group things that you wouldn't tell anyone else. Because when you're willing to shine a light on your deepest, darkest secrets, they're not so scary anymore. You actually, become familiar with them. So that's an easy, practical thing too, that hopefully we'll do with this little group, allow you guys to open up as much as you feel safe doing. And then hopefully over time, you'll feel safer and safer to open up more and more. And that's really important too.
Yeah, I love that. I love what both of you said. Thank you guys. I was just able to literally sit back and start to get in touch with that being, and that's the thing, is these conversations can help us remember. I love that, Alyssa, you said the recognition. I mean, it is that is the word. I wanted to, some of these things, I want to try to find common ground, things that we can all agree on, because sometimes, you could say, oh, you know, am I a human being? I don't know. Are there really two things? I'm just one, like whatever. It's like, well, you know, with exploration, you discover, yes, there is an awareness, there is a consciousness behind the thoughts. Just the same way that I can observe the weather changing, or I can observe a car driving into my view, I can also observe thoughts coming and going. Now, that's interesting because normally we're just only tied to the thoughts. We don't even know that there's a separation there, but there is. Forgive me, I'm speaking quietly. They're filming outside there. But one of the things that I think we can all agree on is the fact that this life is very temporary, at least in this form. There is a clock. This we are aging, we are growing, we are living, and we are dying. And it's all too often, I think we lose touch with that, really out of fear sometimes, because who wants to think about the morbidity of that fact? That's terrifying, and we would live in panic and fear and all this stuff. But it doesn't have to be. It can be a beautiful thing because it reminds us how precious this life is. And whether or not we agree on if there's a soul or anything, like, we can agree we're going to die, you know. And I think about death a lot, and it really helps me to be appreciative of the life that I have. And not only that, but it helps to very quickly put things into perspective, what matters and what doesn't. And the more we can kind of come back to this idea of a death or a transition that's going to happen, I think we can very quickly come into this moment and be vulnerable and honest with ourselves about things that we aren't happy with, about the way that we are living our lives. You know, living as though like we have an unlimited amount of time. We don't, you know. And I hope that doesn't sound morbid or nihilistic, you know, but I just think it's worth bringing up. I think it's worth talking about. So anyways, we can agree on that. And if that is true, then now how should we live our lives, you know, so that we are enjoying our lives and living it to the fullest while we're here.
True dat, brother.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I'm in
Yeah.
agreement.
I am in agreement.
I'm in agreement. Yeah, exactly. Like taking advantage of this life, and especially like that we found each other in this group. It's like actually very
Yes.
exciting, because it's like you can double down on this now if you feel called to. If it's not time, that's okay too. But your ascension process and your remembrance of this light that you are can happen so much faster when you're in a group of people that all want to achieve the same thing. So I think it's a really exciting time that we found each other, and thank you to Mitch and Parker for, you know, creating huddles and organizing this whole thing. It's pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah, I thought this was awesome. Sorry to interrupt real quick. Mine's reeling in a really good way, just digesting everything we all just shared and what we heard. But back to Parker's point, I know you were kind of kidding about the homework assignment, but I'm not. I'm all about it. Is there something we can conjure up as a group to come back to next week and think about, discuss?
Yeah, we should.
I'm calling on you, Howie, Mitch.
I
Go for
recently
it.
did a
Lisa?
really amazing exercise where I did stream of consciousness writing every day for 10 minutes, just on the topic of innocence. And a number of things really came up for me that really opened up a gate for a couple of things. That's just one suggestion. I just wanted to throw that out there. I'll let somebody else take the floor.
But I love the idea of journaling and writing. Like, that's such a great way to actually start your manifestation process and getting very clear on where am I right now in my life. Like, you can even look at every area of your life. How do I feel about my health, my abundance, and just start rating it on a scale of 1 to 10. And it's a good way to just kind of get a bird's eye view of where you're at. And then you'll have your focus when you're doing your spiritual practice, which areas or maybe I may be struggling the most with, and then those can be we take the opposite of that. Let's say with health, I feel like I'm a 3 out of 10. Well, I'm not going to focus on the negative side of that. I'm going to find a positive oriented intention to bring into my practice to start calling in what I want and not putting the energy on the things that I don't want. So maybe I think the journaling or something around that, I loved your idea, Alyssa. I think maybe just starting to write about this stuff. What does spirituality mean to me? How do I feel about the different areas of my life? And just let it flow. It's really amazing what can come out when you start doing that.
Yeah, I would say if we were to list a couple things, start to pay attention to the things that we're grateful for and put our energy there. Like maybe we make a list and say like, here are 10 things I'm very grateful for, something like that, right? Or also, what is something in my life that I am putting off, something that I'm not happy with or I'm putting off that I need to face and maybe take care of and figure out what that is. It could be small. I need to do that thing with the DMV or whatever, and like do the thing, like do it, like face it and do it, and just take that step and do it. And then it's no longer occupying our mental capacity. So if we could, and then another thing, we're here to be of service. So how can you help somebody? How can you do something for someone? So if we, and then lastly, I would say, take a moment every day for 1 minute, if that's all you can do, 20 if you can would be awesome, to sit there and do nothing and do nothing but be with yourself and just be with your breath and observe what comes up. Oh, look, there's a thought about something interesting. I'm going to let that go because right now is not the time. And I'll let that go for later. Right now, I'm just going to sit here. Oh, here's something else came up. Not the time. Thank you for popping up into my awareness and letting it go. So if we take time every day to give ourselves that alone time, that meditative time to be with ourselves, if we do something this week to help someone else, I don't care how small, if we take care of something or change something that we've been putting off or that we haven't been giving enough energy towards, like do that thing. And then maybe make a list of things to be great that we're grateful for and think about that every day. I think those, again, I'm sort of just spitballing here, but I think those would be kind of cool steps we could take each week.
So I'll invite everyone to the community. Some people are there right now. Most people aren't. I'll make a post that lists out what we should do, what we're going to do together as a group. And this is when we feel like a little bit of friction between the things that we should be doing, but we don't know if we're going to want to do them or if we should do them. I think right there is that first opportunity to let go. And this is a much larger topic of discussion, but notion of surrendering and letting go. You have 30, 40, 50 years of programming that are telling you, I don't know if I should do this. I don't know if it will work. I don't have any evidence of this helping me. I know myself, and why would this work? I've never done this before. You have 30, 50, 40, whatever, however old you are, you have that many years of programming, maybe that's behind you. That's and you're coming up with this new change, and it's like when those two things interact, it's like that's the first opportunity to let go. That's the first opportunity to relinquish your control and just do something new, do a change, undergo the change, allow for a little micro transformation to happen. In those moments where you let go and you let for micro transformations to happen is when spirit gets to permeate through. And then you get a little bit of feedback from those. Oh, I let go a little bit. I surrendered a little bit. What happened there? We had a little bit of growth. And then you realize, that let in a little bit of spirit. I got a little bit touching. I felt it a little bit more. I felt a little bit closer to it. And so if anything else, it's these opportunities when you go to the retreat, that's a big one, obviously, but these little micro ones that we're talking about just right now, from a week from now, little opportunities to let go add up over weeks. You can let go more and more and more, and that opens the floodgates. So this is a conditioning of habituating ourselves to letting go of maybe some of that control. Doesn't matter if we've never done it before. It doesn't matter if we think it's going to have any effect on us or not. It's just relinquishing any of that control and just doing it and letting ourselves do it, and then showing up next week having done it.
Howie, do you have any sort of closing thoughts for the group?
No, I think this is a great first step. You know, there's people at different levels of their journey right now, and that's beautiful. We're all here to help each other. We all help one another just by being open and real with each other. So I honor you guys for showing up for yourselves and for Spirit, and hopefully this is the start of something really beautiful that we can keep growing together with.
Hell yeah, I agree. If
Awesome.
even one person becomes empowered, it's so freaking powerful. It's insane. Like just seeing one person become more empowered and feeling their energy from that is absolutely out of this world. Crazy, cool, powerful, and insanely beautiful. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, guys, should we let this
Let's let it go.
let's do it. All right. This was cool.
Yeah, I'll invite, like I said, I'll invite people to the community. I'll kind of take what we did. Parker, I think we kind of settled on a good little couple of things to do that are easy enough, not overwhelming. Again, as much as it is valuable to actually do the exercise and see what we get out of it, for those who are maybe not as accustomed to doing exercises like that, the value is in just letting go of that control and just doing it itself.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to be reminding of that.
Very cool. Dude, I noticed that somebody, before it was their turn to speak, they left the chat. So I feel bad that I scared somebody away before they had a chance to like be a part of this. So I got to figure out in the future, like, I mean, do you have to be willing to speak to be a part of this? I mean, we'd love to hear from people, and I applaud those who spoke and didn't leave. But anyway, I'm just sort of thinking out loud. I feel kind of like, oh shoot, did I lose somebody? You know, did somebody slip through the cracks because I was too forceful? But you know, we'll figure that out next time.
No, so I think this was our first time, and we didn't know where everyone was gonna be at. Like, you know, we relatively knew some of us, but we kind of have a variance of, you know, of where people are at, and so that's totally fine, and it's just like accommodating to all in that regard is its own challenge. And so but yeah, that's the purpose of this all, is just to do this, just to see what comes of it.
Well, everybody, this was awesome.
All right,
Leah, Sheila,
be well,
Jen, Chris, Kirsten, Alyssa,
yes,
Lewis, Howard, Mitch. Thank you guys. This was awesome.
all right, thank you all. Loved it. Thank you. Love you all.
Bye.
Next time. Bye.